And then I nailed Loch Lomond in a blind tasting against
Is this the SMWS?
the SMWS
tasting?
against your buddy.
Against my boy from Bourbon Junkies?
Bourbon Junkies.
Yeah.
And
Wait, let me do my best Bourbon Junkies impression. Let me pour it from the ceiling.
I actually like those guys. They're not bad. They're that face was epic.
Hey, welcome to Sipper Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
This is Whisky Rant 6. I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty,
It's frustrating.
and it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight we are talking Glenallachie, one of our favorite go-to quality value purchases, the Glenallachie 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And we're doing an old versus new tonight.
Old versus new.
2018 versus 2022.
Yep.
This was like the first year that Glenallachie came out with this new look 12-year-old. They also released batch 1 of the 10 cast strength that year. 2018 obviously flew under our radar.
Yeah.
Because our good boy James came through and sent us an entire bottle of this 2018 12-year-old.
I think I actually did go through a bottle of the 2018.
You did?
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did actually. So this is
You
not
didn't
my-
review it, did you?
I think I did. Back in
No
the day.
way.
I think I did. We'll have to like look at the archives, and honestly, it's bad because I'm forgetting like stuff that I've reviewed now. But I'm pretty sure that I did that. I know I did the old 18 and then the newer 18.
Really?
I know that I've done both of those. I'm pretty sure. I had a Glenallachie 12 that was this light.
Well, James didn't know that, and he was like, hey guys, you should try this old school.
No, I think it was more for the purpose of like seeing how it's evolved over
I agree.
the years.
Yeah.
Right?
Obviously, you can tell by looking, the color of these are way, way different. The older 2018 Glenallachie 12, very much lighter than the
Yeah,
newer,
look at that.
super, super dark 2022 bottling. But the makeup, the same. It's Oloroso, it's PX, and it's virgin oak casks.
Yep.
And we're assuming that these are all, I mean, the Oloroso and the sherry, I'm assuming those were all at one time ex-bourbon and then finished in an Oloroso
Yeah, I would think
and
so.
sherry cask.
Yeah.
You think that's right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all ex-bourbon, and then they were moved from like he recasked pretty much everything in the warehouse, and everything went into the other 3 casks you listed. So
Right.
the PX, the Oloroso, the virgin oak,
Yeah.
and that's all of them serve their own purpose, but mainly to bring color, flavor, boldness, depth, all that other stuff, right?
We recently did a review of the Glenallachie 10-year-old cast strength batch 1.
Yeah.
I feel like we might find similar characteristics between that batch, this 12.
Oh yeah, and knowing Billy Walker, there's a very good chance that he put some of the vatting from this 12 in that 10.
Yep.
Right? That's just the way he rolls. Like, there's a very good chance that he used older whiskey in that first batch of 10 because he knew it was going to be majority bourbon casks. So he's like, let's boost this up a little bit.
And I was very much convinced that there was older whiskey
Yeah.
in that batch 1 10-year-old.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Very, very much convinced. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very delicious.
Let's be honest. Like, so far, okay, yeah, batch 6 and 7 weren't the best of the Glenallachie 10s, but everything else was great.
Yeah. Batch 7 really took a dip.
Yeah.
We thought that the Rioja cask was too influential and it wasn't great.
Right.
And then batch 8 came along and really kind of balanced out that wine cask with the sherry cask and that virgin oak to make a really nice, really nice whiskey.
Yeah. I think what we're going to notice, and I'm just guessing based on nose here and what I remember, is the old version is very mineral forward,
Yes.
right? Whereas the newer ones, the sherry casks start to like peek through a lot more.
And that's a note that you said before on Glenallachie, and that's how you and me and maybe other people will identify Glenallachie is that like weird kind of like minerality to it.
Yeah,
They
pop
normally,
rocks.
normally you find that in like in peated whiskeys.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, this Glenallachie distillate has that kind of minerality to it.
It does. It almost feels like where they source their water from is different than the average place, and there's
Yeah,
like
it's
some
definitely
sort of
something.
limestone almost filtration or something.
Right away, what I'm getting on this Glenallachie 12, the old bottling, is like a more malty characteristic than maybe I've had in Glenalachie's before.
Can we talk about the balance of that though?
Yeah.
Like, does he ever do anything wrong? This, like, I know that this is his first release, so he wanted to make a good impression, but that's still so good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I'm getting like this like really nice like honeysuckle kind of note to it,
Mm-hmm.
along with this malty characteristic, and it's not like the new Glenallachie 12,
No.
like at all. It's very very different.
Yeah. This one, you get that charred oak right away on the nose, right? Like that new oak.
Yeah, I mean, the new one you get way more PX. I feel.
Oh yeah, more of a different kind of sweetness, a little bit of spiciness too from that European oak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you get way more of like the chocolate toffee,
Mm-hmm.
like those typical, rich sherry notes.
Could you identify these as the same whiskey if someone gave them? Like, would you be able to say, yeah, those were both Glenallachie 12 things?
No,
No, right? Like,
No.
if that was blind, I'd be screwed.
no way. Because like I have drank a lot of the newer Glenallachie 12s,
Yeah.
the darker bottlings, and I might be able to tell. But this old one, no way. There's no chance because like there's this honey note that like
Yeah.
you don't get in the new ones, not at all.
No. And honestly, I remember falling in love with Glenallachie early on because it just was offering something that nobody else was. So different.
What is the thought process here? Why did Billy Walker go from a lighter bottling, really nice complexity, good balance, to a darker, more sherry influence? What is the thought process, do you think, between the years?
Well, I think personally that it goes back to what he prefers, right? Billy Walker, we know he has to be a sherry fan because look what he did with Glendronach. You know, what he's doing with Glenallachie, he must love sherry,
Yeah.
right? So there's that. I honestly think when he bought Glenallachie and decided, okay, we're going to re-rack everything, we're going to recask everything, they did that for this. Maybe it was only in those casks for like 6 months before he's like, okay, we got to release
I
something,
think that's it.
right?
I think that's it.
And then he's like, okay, now these are all gonna sit in these casks,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be able to choose from all this different stuff, and this is the evolution of
I
it.
think that makes complete sense. I think what could happen, if you want to speculate, is that all of his re-racking just took longer, right? And the more and more casks he brought in, the more stuff he re-racked, that eventually caught up and just made for a different profile, obviously a darker colored whiskey.
Yep,
But yeah, like I love them both.
they are great.
I
Both of
do
them are
really
great.
like both of these quite a lot. And we've talked so much about Glenallachie 12. It was my whiskey of the year a couple years ago.
Yep.
We've always talked about how it's a great value buy. It can compete with whiskeys that are priced 25, 50% more money than it,
Absolutely. It punches above its weight class in age. That's the coolest part about the Glenallachie 12. But we did a similar experiment with the Lumreeks from the same company. We did an old 12
Yep.
bottling and the new 12 bottling. And we actually preferred the old 12 bottling in that scenario. I don't know if I prefer the old 12 bottling in this case, but they are very different whiskeys,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think it is similar to the batch 1 of the 10-year-old cask strength.
Yeah.
Great whiskey, right? But we also really liked batches 3, 4, 5 as well, and
Yeah.
those are like the more heavily sherried ones. And I think it has its time and its place, and these are both great in their own respect.
I think the batch 8 really. I wouldn't mind doing a blind tasting of all the batches again, just to see.
You want to do all 8?
Well, I think it would be cool to do the 8 with the ones that were our favorite from before.
Yeah.
So maybe just like 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5, 8.
And 8.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Skip over 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I ordered us the Glenallachie 10 batch 9. So
Yep.
that's coming. And I'm hoping it's a little lighter. I don't know if you noticed in the pictures, but
No, I didn't really notice, and it's kind of hard to tell sometimes with those pictures.
that's true. But it
because you
seems
never
like it's a
know
little lighter.
how the lighting is when they take them.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, I'm excited.
Yeah, I wonder what we should find out what the makeup of the batch 9 is. I guess we don't really need to know now, but
If we assume it's the same, it's the Rioja, it's the PX, the Virgin Oak, and the Oloroso.
I'm hoping it's. I hope he dropped the Rioja. Yeah, like that was introduced at what, batch 5,
Yeah.
and it worked for batch 5.
Yep.
And it worked for batch 8.
Mm-hmm.
But is
It didn't work for batch 7. It was way too much. It was
Yeah.
way too influential, and it blew out the rest of the stuff, and it wasn't great.
No. Yeah. So I wonder if he's decided to move away from that, and that's why it's a little lighter in color now.
Maybe he was listening to the Whisky Rant podcast.
Do you ever
and,
wonder, like, who, if any of the distilleries listen to like the podcast and like, hey,
I mean, I don't know about us in particular, but I do think that there's people that watch feedback from people who review whiskey. Of course they do, right? And sure, they could stumble on some things, and I think that like our opinions are sometimes echoed by other people as well.
Yeah.
You know, we have similar thoughts about some things, and if enough people say the same thing, maybe there's a change. Right? Because like at the end of the day, like someone is watching someone else and basing their purchasing decision on what they say.
that's right.
You know?
Yeah, I've spoken. We've talked about how the LCBO refuses to like look into like hiring guys like us that could actually do a service for their corporation
Yeah.
by like having our finger on the pulse, knowing what whiskeys to purchase, what whiskeys not to. That why would they want that when
Even if we just advise them, these should go to online, one per customer, and these you can put out in the store.
right?
That would save so many managers such headaches.
Yeah.
Of having to receive millions of phone calls a year, being like, "Can you put a Stag Junior on reserve for me? I'm coming right in."
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again, and like, "Oh, you got Bland's Gold? Can I reserve a case?" Right? And it's just like it's just chaos. It's disgusting.
I think there's very little left of the secondary market in Ontario at the moment. Maybe it's like down to just bourbon that's selling.
Yeah, that's a good point because I just posted some bourbons and they sold pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like anything else?
I tried to post some old bottles of Highland Park, an old 21 and an old 18. Crickets.
No bites.
Crickets.
Yeah, people do not care about Highland Park anymore.
Yeah.
It is the ghost distillery now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like maybe I'm pricing it too high, but like not really because like a new 21, a Highland Park 21 is like what? $650
Right. Yeah.
ish.
Yeah.
So I'm asking like, $800 for an old one,
Right.
which is only $150 more,
Yeah.
which is relatively correct.
I would think so.
And no,
it's a lot
no-
older.
No biters. No
and
biters.
it's a higher ABV. It's proven to be a very good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Highland Park. People are just not interested.
But bourbon, yeah, like no problem selling. E.H. Taylor single barrel that flew.
Of course it did.
I had a couple old batches of Stag Junior, some really good batches actually, like batch 12 and 13,
Yeah.
really nice ones.
Yeah.
Those flew.
Those were good.
So yeah, I mean, like, if I'm gonna get $450 for a bottle I paid $100 for that doesn't drink a $450 bourbon at all,
Yeah.
I'm happy to sell it, and I'm happy to buy some other stuff that I would enjoy more.
Yeah. I mean,
I still have a couple open bottles of those.
I
So
have stock of stuff that I know I'm gonna want to open. Like speaking before the video started, I have a whole bunch of the Glenallachie 15. I opened this Glenallachie 12. I have one more backup after this of the 12. And then I have, like my collection pieces, which I don't even know at this point if I'm going to wait to, I don't know, I might just end up opening them at some point. Like, obviously I don't need any whiskey at the moment, but I don't know. I've like my interest in being part of that whole secondary culture is at an all-time. It was always low, but now it's at an all-time like negative.
Yeah.
Like below zero.
It's disgusting because it's like it's just gotten to a point where like it's just way too much. And like sure, like Pappy Van Winkle was always like the starter, right? Like it went for crazy money and then it kept going up and kept going up and kept going up. And now everyone knows that like that whiskey's not worth the secondary price. Right. The BTAC bottles, same kind of thing. Those prices of those are starting to drop.
Yeah, I think so. They're starting to. People are starting to pay attention. They're like, wow, do I really want to pay full secondary on this bottle? Probably not open it myself. And then how much more is it going to go up from this point on? I'm
That's
sure
true.
some of them do go on, up, but like most of them probably don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like look at like Macallan as well. Are people buying Macallan still? Sure they are. But are they buying them at crazy prices? Like even look at Waddington's, right? You sent me a Waddington's link. Waddington's is the official
Ontario secondary auction.
legal. It's a legal auction house for whiskey in
Yeah.
Ontario, and I think it's the only one.
It's the only one in Ontario.
So if any restaurant or bar wants to buy a legal bottle on the secondary market, which they can't buy currently at the LCBO, they have to buy it through Waddington's, and they can legally sell that into their establishment.
Such an interesting concept because they have no interest in finding out how you acquired that bottle. Only that you're willing to sell it legally, quote unquote, and pay taxes on it.
Yeah, so we've talked about Waddington before. We might have actually talked about it on our very first podcast ever. I don't
Probably.
remember.
Yeah.
But the price of that were insane, right? And you sent me a link, and the prices have come back down to earth just a little bit for Waddington's standards, right? Like their standards were so insane. Like they were paying way, way above secondary. Like we're talking like 50% above the secondary value was selling on this Waddington site.
And what's crazy is like the hammer's heavy, the taxes are heavy, all that kind of stuff is heavy from Waddington. So people are not fooling around with like, Jeremy has a bottle. I'm going to make sure that I boost up the value of his bottle by bidding on it. People are not doing that because they're at risk of like just wasting a lot of money on taxes and hammer, right?
Yeah, I mean, the auction hammer 20%, seller's premium 20%, buyer's premium 20%.
Yeah.
And plus, like, some other, like, stupid fees. Like, you have to pay, like, if you're selling, you have to buy insurance. It's like you're left with a little bit, and that auction house makes some money. I think they even charge, like, take a picture of your bottle. It's like $20 per picture.
That's absurd.
They take, probably with a camera phone.
Yeah, 100%.
And, like, a nice, like, light box. It's crazy.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is, I believe, $81 or $82 now on average in Alberta.
Yeah.
Which is a great price still. Mm-hmm. And you can still get it on sale every once in a while for 15% off of that, or even better, sometimes 20% off of that. Why is the 8-year-old only $1 or $2 less? What is up with that 8-year-old?
Yeah, great question.
Something I honestly believe that there's really old whiskey in that 8-year-old, because like why else would he do it?
Yeah, and we differ on our opinions of the 8-year-old because you liked it more than I did.
Yeah, and I'm actually enjoying it even more now. Like I still haven't reviewed it officially yet.
I have officially reviewed it.
You have, yeah.
And my takeaway was essentially that there's some great notes in there that I really, really like, and there's a couple that are holding it back from being good. But at the end of the day, you're right. Like it's only $10 less. Maybe on
now
average.
It's like $1.
Okay.
It's like legit $1 on most websites I mean, maybe that was just a couple websites that I noticed, but it was $1.
Yeah. Okay. And this goes back to like the Ardbeg thing, right? Like the Ardbeg 10 versus the Ardbeg 5. They're only like $10 or $15 apart. They're almost the same price. And my speculation was, okay, they're going to price the Ardbeg the Ardbeg 5 at whatever price, and they're going to bump up every other Ardbeg.
Yeah.
It's going to be increased in price. Like, this is the new standard, and then we're going to bump the 10 and bump everything else. That hasn't quite happened.
Not yet.
It has gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think in the U.S. was like kind of the benchmark for like the Ardbeg 10. It was always like a good price, right? It was $55 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it hasn't skyrocketed. It hasn't adjusted from the 5.
Not yet.
But you're right. Why? Why buy the 8 when you can buy the 12 for just a couple of dollars more?
Yeah. There's in Billy Walker's eyes, and I mean, maybe this has nothing to do with Glenallachie. Maybe this is like directly a retail reasoning. I don't know, but I feel like
No whiskey can be under a certain price.
I wonder, because is this going to go up to $100 and that's what they're preparing for?
Maybe, yeah.
Which is unfortunate. I hope not, but I mean, that's pretty much where every other 12-year-old is at this moment.
Yeah.
I sent you a link today
it's
for
crazy.
a crazy well-priced 12-year-old. Did you see
Was
that?
it the Loch Lomond?
The Loch Lomond was like $42.
Loch Lomond 12
Loch Lomond 12,
for $42.
$42.
Yeah.
Like, you're not finding in Canada. That's like
We're not going to get better than that.
that's
for
a
that
miracle price
Yep.
right there. Yeah, like
100%. Yeah. I love
that's an
that.
unbelievable price. Even
Yeah.
I purchased a Loch Lomond 12 at like $65, and I was like, wow, this is a great deal.
Yeah.
So $42 is
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we're getting to the point where like you have to look for those deals.
Yeah, and that's a bottle that is worth getting a case of, because it's like that's like pre, I don't know, 2018 pricing.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the Scotch being that low then. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, we've talked about it before. Like, are we going to see just stuff bottom out?
I wonder, because it's got to be pretty tough for a company like Loch Lomond that not a lot of non-whiskey aficionados really know much about.
Yeah.
Right? So what's their global profit?
Yeah.
Like, what's their sales like? Probably not very good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be like
No,
way
like
off base.
Loch
but-
Lomond, like no one talks about them.
Yeah. Nobody.
No one's like, oh my God, if you try this new like Loch Lomond, they're like, who? No, Loch Lomond sucks.
And then I nailed Loch Lomond in a blind tasting against
Oh, is this the SMWS?
the SMWS
tasting?
against your buddy.
Oh, against my boy from Bourbon Junkies?
Bourbon Junkies.
Yeah.
And
Wait, let me do my best Bourbon Junkies impression. Let me pour it from the ceiling.
I actually like those guys. They're not bad. They're that face is epic.
You know what? If you look back on Bourbon Junkies' first year of posting videos, you'll see me comment some positive comments on their stuff.
Yeah, they're huge.
I like their opinions.
They're huge.
I mean, I it's no secret that I've ripped on them before. But whatever. If you act like a clown, people are gonna laugh at you.
Yeah,
It's all in good fun.
yeah. I think
Right?
I
They're
mean,
super successful. They've had a huge following. They have their own distillery now.
Do they really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
I mean, they've partnered with a distillery.
no way.
Yeah.
See how little like
You don't even watch them.
I don't
I
watch-
watch more Bourbon
Oh,
Junkies than you.
You watch way more Whiskey Tube in general than I do, for sure.
I hate watch them so much.
I watch them.
I gotta get material.
How
for
many
the-
burner accounts?
I
do
gotta
you have?
get. I no. I've never left a negative comment on their videos.
Yeah.
The only you know what? I've never left a negative comment really on anyone's video except for. Oh, I can't even think of who it was now. It was someone who was reviewing Pappy 20, and they took the bottle and just like chugged it. They're like, "Oh, it's only Pappy 20. It's just bourbon," and they just like mouth licked the bottle. And
That's
I'm like,
disgusting.
that's like a disrespectful thing to do on YouTube.
Guys, the first thing you have to remember when it comes to bourbon is it's just whiskey.
To like prove that like, oh, this isn't like that
Yeah.
good. I'm like, don't fucking do that.
Yeah, that's-
You look like an idiot. That was the only like negative comment I think I've ever left.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make fun of the bourbon junkies all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a library of videos you can watch me referencing them very secretly, sometimes not so secretly.
Not so secretly.
The first thing you want to do is show everybody that you don't take bourbon too seriously, even though you do. This is key. One way you can do this is get a bottle of bourbon that no one else can find and then pretend like you don't care you have it. One way to show this is to throw a bottle of bourbon up into the air and catch it. The closer you are to dropping it, the more you let people know that you are too cool to take drinking bourbon that seriously. Always act like you're a pro athlete after every catch to maintain strict swagger.
But no, I do watch way more Bourbon Tube than you.
Oh, Bourbon Tube, 100% you watch more than I do because
Yeah.
they don't like as much like we're friends with Jason from Mash and Drum, and I
Yeah,
just
no.
it's more of a time thing, to be
At
honest.
the end of the day, like the Bourbon Junkies, I respect their opinion on bourbon.
Yeah.
But they have to give it to me with all this fucking circus, pouring whiskey on the floor, drinking straight from the bottle. That stuff triggers me because I think it's such a waste.
Yeah.
When you're doing it with bottles that people would fucking kill to have an opportunity to try, and you're just pouring it out for clout or whatever. You know, like it's stupid. It's a dumb thing to do, and I mean but I still respect their opinion on bourbon because I feel like they have a great palate.
Yeah.
And they've tried lots of stuff.
I mean,
so,
Dan, right? Dan is the dude knows his whiskey, man. Like he
sure,
did well in that.
yeah, you watch
SMWS.
him do blind tastings, and he's bang on. He nails stuff all the time. Absolutely, he does. And I could never say he wouldn't. I would never say that.
Mm-hmm. I noticed you were putting down the glasses very gently still.
Yeah, and
the mic
the
is
new
not-
mics, they shouldn't pick up the clanging that we
That's what I was-
normally are used to doing. Yeah,
I see you cringe every time I do that. It's like
I really yeah. It's like, clang 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 clang.
do you try to lower? Do you cut and lower it and then?
That's so much work. That's so much work to bring down the audio every clang.
Every time Rob smashes his glass on the
I
table.
know I can't. I can't.
Yeah.
I do try to speak in a way that if people are only listening, they'll know what we're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. Because I do listen back to our podcast sometimes when I'm driving. And I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
We didn't say what we're drinking.
We do that?
You'll be like, this one is this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But you'll point to it, but
Yes, because I always assume that people are watching us.
and most of them do.
Well, yeah.
But we are on Spotify and iTunes. And
You're right. No,
any,
I'm being disrespectful to our listeners.
Yeah.
And the people that are not watching. So I do prefer the newer Glenallachie over the older one.
I do as well, but just by a little bit. And I think that both of these have their place.
Yeah. This is you know what the older one would be great for? You're outside, you're having a cigar, you're gonna just 2 pour or 3 pour one whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great whiskey. It's light, it's not gonna overpower anything.
Yeah.
Just a good all around nice whiskey.
I mean, I feel like the takeaway is the colors of these whiskeys dictate how they taste, right? This gives you more of that chocolate, caramel,
Yep.
that that richness, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that's the ultimate. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better in all cases. Actually, we did the exact same experiment with the Lumreeks, the Lumreek 12s, and we found that the lighter one was better,
Yeah.
right? So in some cases it will be, in some cases it won't be. Don't buy your whiskey based on color unless you're looking for specific notes out of that whiskey. I guess that's what you could say.
Yeah, and both of these bottles are fresh cracks too.
Yeah.
Which it's a very even comparison because they both are just freshly opened.
Yeah. They're both really good.
Mm-hmm.
That just honestly, our boy James sent us this the old batch, the first batch, and he did the same thing with the Lumreeks, and he did the same thing with the Glenallachie 10 batch one, and one day he's gonna trick us and like send us something like this, and it's like, haha, idiots! There was 27-year-old single cask Glenallachie in there.
And like, I don't know, like I think I'm getting out of the old bottling of this 12 way more malt than I've ever got in a Glenallachie before.
Malt and minerality, like,
right?
That's where I originally got that idea, and you would get it more in this if you weren't drinking this,
The old one,
the minerality.
yeah.
But because we're drinking this and there's so much more, we don't get it as much in this.
I think that maybe there's just like less cask influence in here, and the color would necessitate that conclusion.
Oh, for sure. I think so these really just opened up in our glass, not in the bottles, like you said, they're fresh cracks. When this opened up, it really stood above this one.
Yeah.
At first, when you're sipping them, like, oh, they're both good.
Yeah.
You know, and they are both good, but this one stood above when this one opened up.
It is really cool to see like a progression, through a distillery on the releases and stuff like that. Especially when you get like, this is a very like drastic change.
Oh yeah,
like this is huge. This isn't like Macallan going from, the old school importer to the Edgerton importer, where there's a difference, but it's not a crazy difference. This is a huge difference.
Has the color met its cap? Like, will it get darker than this? Will it stay, like, can it only get to this, like, level of, like, has it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that Billy Walker I don't think he, necessarily, is like, I want to make this as dark as I can, but it still tastes good. I think he's like, I'm just going to blend this to where I want it, and whatever the color is. I mean, of course, sure, like people buy darker whiskey because that's why distilleries add E150 color in, because like darker whiskey just seems like it's richer and it's more appealing.
Do you know what I love about Glenallachie is, like, I honestly feel like the only reason, and it's not true, it's not the only reason, but like part of the reason why they are an inexpensive whiskey, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the whiskey inside, is the look of the bottle. It's almost like, don't take us too seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We enjoy having fun with it. We decided to make a bottle that looks fun. The label is fun looking. It's not necessarily the most attractive bottle or labeling in the Scotch industry.
I hate the text.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks like ancient Greek.
Egypt kind of like text. It's terrible.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you put this liquid in the bottle behind me, the Glenturret Lalique bottling, you could charge $200 for this whiskey.
I agree.
No problem.
Yeah,
and people would be like, all day, every day, I'm buying that. It's delicious.
Yeah, if you put a reputable, even like if you put this in like a Balvenie. Like, my favorite style of bottle and label is Balvenie. I love it.
Okay.
It's very classy. I love the bottle style. I love the text. I love everything about Balvenie, except for the ABV and their core range, kind of.
Yeah, and their pricing.
Right, and their pricing. But, like, if I could, like, start a distillery and, like, copy something, I would take Balvenie and, like, make that my bottle and my label. I love Balvenie.
I think it's Aaron for me.
Really?
I really like the Aaron bottle.
Yeah.
I really like the new bottling. They changed my mind completely with the look of their new bottles, the labeling, all of it.
Yeah, me too. I like Aaron as well.
I really like Ben Rummick's new bottling style as well. Like you know, I like that a lot, but I'm a big fan of
But like
Aaron.
like this like Glenallachie text, like this is something that I would pick for like my grade 4 like book report. Right?
It looks like the text that, like, remember that Disney movie Hercules?
Absolutely.
That's what it
I
looks
think
like.
it's the same text.
It might be the same text.
I think you're right.
I think it is.
I think either Hercules stole it from Glenallachie, or Glenallachie is getting sued from Disney pretty soon.
But I really hope that they never change it, because if changing this to a more sophisticated and classy looking bottle is going to change the pricing of it, I want nothing
We don't
to
want
do with
that. We don't want that.
right?
Yeah.
I just want the quality.
Yeah.
And that's all we care about. And I think this is a true testament to the type of, like, people always say, oh, you always buy these bottles that are like so fancy. And I think, do you remember that comment? That was one of the comments I think we shared in that one that we just like talked about the people that rip us.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that is the opposite of true. Like,
Yeah.
I never buy a bottle based on the way it looks.
I don't like paying for like extra shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't want like a big wood box. You know what I do with a
That drives
wood
me
box?
crazy. Yeah, garbage.
straight to recycling?
I have a whole bunch. You guys can't see it because it's off camera, but I have a whole bunch of boxes that literally sit in these cupboards because I forget about them.
Yeah.
Because I don't display any of my boxes.
Yeah.
And they're all going in the garbage. They're all going in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
So like they're useless.
They're useless. You know what I do? Like a nice like, a really nice like piano box. You know, from what was that, like PX from Cavalan?
Yeah.
Right. They had a really nice piano box, like
Yeah.
full, like magnet folded out, like really really nice.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Garbage. Yeah.
Like right to recycling. Because like,
But-
what am I gonna do with this freaking thing?
There's
Nothing.
this fancy, what was it? Glengoyne box, the 25-year-old. It's over there. You can see it from here. And
Yeah.
it's got like a clock, like
Right. Yeah.
hand that
Right?
that
And,
closes
like-
it, and it's like all
Sure,
fancy.
you gotta,
to
like pull out this
slide
little
out.
thing. You
Get it.
slide out the base. It's like a. It's
It's gonna be great for my fire at my cottage this summer.
I don't know. You want to burn that with like
No.
all the shellac
Yeah,
on it?
you're
You're like
right. That's a
breathing
good
in all
point.
this like, you know.
That's a good point.
Yeah. No, those are like it's like a gift presentation.
That's exactly
right. It's a gift presentation kind of box.
You should be able to opt in for the box or opt out,
Ooh, I like that.
right? Like you want the wooden box because it's a gift. It's X amount of dollars.
Right. What do you think those boxes like cost?
They can't be cheap. Like, how could they be cheap? That's wood. It's wood. It's felt. It's
It's gotta be expensive.
handmade. Like everything.
Like the little pamphlet they print out. It's all like nice. It's
You can't
know.
even pay people to build something like that for less than like $50 an hour anymore.
Yeah, and like how many are you producing a year?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
10,000 or less. 5,000.
I don't know. Like, I don't know where they're made or manufactured. I would assume China.
If I could pay $50 less or whatever your box price was,
Yeah.
let's say it's $35.
Yeah.
On a $500 bottle.
But
I
this
do
is
that
the
all
thing.
all
There's-
day, all day.
But for every one of us, there's 20 guys that will pay $100 to $200 more for something
Yeah.
because of that fancy.
And that's the
stupid
thing,
box,
right? You're paying
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars more
Yeah.
for a box presentation
Yeah.
when the whiskey isn't worth it.
No.
Right.
And it's exactly what I just said. There's too much money. It's not even about what that box costs, because the box, let's say it cost them $20 to make, which it doesn't.
Yeah.
It costs less.
Yeah.
But let's say it costs them $20 to make. They know that adding that box to that whiskey, they can charge. Now, like, what are they charging for Glengoyne 25-year-old now? It's like $600-700 now, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I just
Right?
looked it up. You can buy it officially on the Glengoyne website.
Yeah.
I'll put it right here. This is the official price in British pounds. It's very, very expensive.
Yeah, and
It's actually cheaper in Canada. Like you can buy a Glengoyne 25 cheaper out of Alberta
Yeah.
than you can on their official website in the UK.
And that's always been the case for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I remember when I was first looking into it, like, that was like one of my, like, I need to try the Glengoyne 25 at some point in my life.
Yeah.
That was like one of the bottles that I really wanted to try.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a wood box back then. And I remember it being like 400 pounds. But then a friend of the show early on gifted it to my channel. Do you remember
And
that?
I don't, but I remember you gave me that heel.
That's right.
And I have it, and I'm going to record a review. I've done my notes.
Well, you still have the... Oh, wait.
The Glengoyne 25.
Of the new bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, this was the old version.
Oh,
This was
okay.
like the... I actually like the old version better than the new version. Do you want to take the box? You might as well take the box. You gotta take the box tonight. You gotta take the box. Did you already record? You haven't recorded it yet, right?
No, I haven't
Yeah,
recorded
take
it
the-
yet. I've
take-
done all the notes. That's the box?
That's that stupid honking box over there. That's yeah. So
Yeah, because like my review, spoiler alert, good, not great.
right, and that's exactly where I was with that. Right.
Yeah.
Like, definitely not worth anything close to the price.
No,
No.
no. You know what? I think I calculated it, and I was like, I'd rather have 3 bottles of the teapot dram
Yep.
than 1 bottle of the 25.
Oh, I'm totally in
Right?
agreement. Remember that 12-year-old single cast that I had?
Ooh,
That was really good.
That was nice.
That was a nice Glengoyne.
Yeah, you know what, Glengoyne, they really you gotta do it at cast strength, because like I don't feel like their other stuff is up to snuff. It's not that good.
I feel like that particular 25, both 25s that I've had were way too hot for a 25-year-old at 48%. I don't know. Like, that's just kind of how I felt.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah.
a little hot, a little
yeah,
like not a little youthful. Not necessarily. I don't know what it's like where Glengoyne is, but it must be cold for a lot of the year, because 25 years doesn't do very well in Glengoyne.
I don't know. It's just like Highland region, isn't it? It's not Speyside. Is it Speyside?
It's Highland.
Yeah.
It's Highland. Although
Every Speyside is a Highland, but not
yeah.
every Highland is a Speyside.
Exactly. Yeah, these are good whiskeys.
So takeaways on these Glenallachie 12s. The old bottling, the 2018 lighter one.
Should we score them?
Yeah.
Let's score them. I'm gonna give this one an 86. 85 actually.
Okay. 85.
And I'm gonna give this one an 86.5. I'm gonna take some half. I'm gonna start doing some halves like Jeremy does.
Okay. Yeah, I think people should do halves.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't do half marks. So like, whoa, why wouldn't you do a half mark? Because
Yeah.
sometimes something is just a little bit more better
Yeah.
than the other.
No,
you
I
know?
agree.
My score on this Glenallachie 12, the newer, darker one, has never changed. It's 88 out of 100. That's exactly where I would say go out and buy it blind. You never tasted it before, go buy it 100%. This is coming in at just a half tick less, 87.5. It's almost equally as good
Yeah.
because it's different and the balance is great, and you're
Yep.
getting something from Glenallachie that you don't get.
No.
And it's an amazing whiskey on its own right. And yeah, you're right. Maybe some older stuff in there too, because first releases always aim to please.
Yeah.
And they put some really good casks into those first releases. So
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he came back and told us that there was 15-year-old in there. I wouldn't
for
be
sure.
surprised.
Yeah. I think that you're bang on, because that's the Billy Walker method, is putting older whiskey into releases. I mean, that's everyone's method.
I wonder though, because for Billy Walker, I truly believe, based on what I know about Billy Walker, and obviously I've never met him in person, but I truly believe that he really cares and puts pride into what's inside his bottles. Whereas I think many other distilleries, it's more about what I can get for that bottle.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna put older whiskey in this 12-year-old, because that 12-year-old needs to be 12 years old, because I can get more money for the stuff that's older,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not going to put 15-year-old whiskey in here because I can charge this much for my 15-year-old.
That's exactly it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody does it. I do think, and I do know that Billy Walker would.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that both are really, really good, and 100% buys.
Yeah.
Secondary market on Glenallachie, there's almost none.
There's none.
There's almost no secondary market for Glenallachie.
Although when this bottle first came out, it was popular on secondary, because I think this is the one that Ralphie gave his whiskey of the year.
No chance.
No?
Glenallachie 12?
Didn't he give
Ralphie?
Didn't he give a Glenallachie 12 a whiskey of the year? I feel like he might have.
Pause. There's no way.
Glenallachie 12-year-olds. There you go.
You're right.
Boom.
Wow.
There you go. See? So for that very short period of time, there was a little bit of like guys offering me this on secondary. I'm like, dude, I can get that for like $70 in
Yeah.
Alberta. Why would I pay $120 from you?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, it's not like readily available. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see like what is the most sought after Glenallachie bottling? Like what does it go for on the auction sites? Like what is the bottle? It's gotta be some single cask, right, from a long time ago.
I wonder. I think it's probably the 21 cask strengths and the 30 cask strengths.
Yeah.
Because like those were official bottlings,
Right.
and there was like a very small amount. And yeah, it's got to be those.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, we could look it up.
All right, so just looking it up quickly, it is the Glenallachie 30-year-old batch 1. That is the most expensive at auction, other than like a weird independent bottling, like a 43-year-old, but 1,600 pounds. That's it. Like that's the most expensive bottling, and like that's what dominates the secondary market for the most part on Glenallachie. Like the 21's up there for like 1,100 pounds. But you're right. Like there's not that much on the secondary market for this distillery.
It's unfortunate because like we'll never actually know what that 30-year-old tastes like because nobody's opening that bottle, which is absurd because it's probably incredible.
Yeah.
But because Billy Walker blended it and made it into what it is, but no one will know. Mm-hmm. We need a guy like James to like get a sample somewhere.
James,
Poor
get on
James.
that. Yeah. Can
Poor
you get
James.
us like a 30-year-old batch 1, preferably
the
batch
yeah.
1? Yeah.
Poor guy.
He might have one in his collection.
I wonder, maybe
All right.
he might.
Why wouldn't he?
So, I traded recently for that Tobias and the Angel over my shoulder here, on my right shoulder, as well as those
The compass box?
the compass box,
You
as well
got that?
as yeah, up there.
Sealed.
It's sealed still. I'm gonna open it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open it.
That's
We're gonna taste it.
amazing whiskey.
Yeah, we haven't officially reviewed that whiskey, right?
Jasper had that.
He had it. We tasted it.
He was lucky.
I think we tasted it on a live.
We were lucky enough to try that.
We were definitely lucky enough to try it. It is a delicious whiskey. That's why I acquired it. I traded a Highland Park 21 to get that whiskey.
Yeah, good trade. That's half Kleinleash, half
Not Highland Park, sorry. Hazelburn 21, sorry. I
Oh,
lied.
okay.
Which is, in its own right, going to be very valuable, but
Yeah.
this is better with whiskey.
And sorry, remind me again of that bottling is half Kleinleash.
It's half 25-year-old Klein-Leash
Yeah.
and half 35-year-old Kalila.
Right. Yeah.
So
You can't make a bad whiskey when you
No,
do that.
no.
You need those two together.
yeah, so it's going to be delicious, and we know it is because we've tried it.
It's
Now-
probably the best compass box that I've tried.
You know, it's funny you say that because James actually said that that's rated in the top 2 Compass Box whiskeys ever bottled.
Mm.
Yeah.
And number 1 being the General.
I don't know. He didn't mention what number 1 was, but
I mean, everyone like talks about the General being number 1.
which you did the Circus,
Yeah, which was a great whiskey.
which was great.
Yeah.
What else? Compass Box big ones have you tried?
Enlightenment was really good.
Enlightenment was
that
good.
was a Kleinleash forward, very kind of like ex-bourbon matured
We
blend.
have behind my shoulder. We have 2 editions of the Flaming Heart that I acquired in a trade as well.
Yeah.
One of which has like crazy old stuff in it. I'm gonna look that up right now because I know I know exactly where to find the answer to this.
When like looking at Compass Box, the General is the number 1 sought after Compass Box without a doubt because
for
it
sure.
has like what 35-year-old like something create like what's the distillery?
I'm not sure, but listen to this. So this edition 5, it was I think it was less than $200 retail
For Flaming Heart?
for the Flaming Heart.
Yeah.
It does have 10% 7-year-old in there. So technically it's a 7-year-old whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got 38% 14-year-old Kalila, 24.1% 20-year-old Glenallachie, and 27.1% 30-year-old Kalila.
Wow.
So over 50% of this is either 20 or 30 years old.
Yeah.
A small portion is 7 years old. That's what I love about the compass boxes. They're always like messing with people.
And I love that too, because like mixing a really young whiskey with a really old whiskey creates like amazing results.
It does.
Right? Because you get these old kind of like, you know, really like complex flavors and like a burst of like this like youthful punch.
Yeah.
And it really makes for an interesting whiskey. And then I think everyone that does that is good. It's like it's so good, so good.
And I think more people do it and just don't tell us they do it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Springbank was notorious for doing that with their old 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
But who's to say that they don't do that with like their society release 8-year-old?
Yeah.
You know, the society release 8-year-old had like 1,500 bottles or 1,200 bottles.
100%.
One cask of that could have been
whiskey.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Like Balvenie Ton, right? They're
Balvenie
notorious for putting like 35, 40-year-old whiskey into a
Yeah.
blend with like 18 to 20-year-old stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like really mixing up the ages, like a huge contrast in age. Giving them the
those
youthful
Balvenie
like
Tons.
punch with
Yeah.
like some old like tired notes. Is like it makes amazing whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, there's like old Balvenie is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Old Balvenie is delicious. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what these guys are going to look like at 40 years old.
Glenallachie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll never get
and,
to try it, but because it sells like insanely quick
Yeah.
on secondary.
Yeah. But I think the more pressing thing that we want to try is like when Billy Walker gets his distillate out. Right?
That's interesting, yeah.
Like when he starts taking over the distillate, now it's his turn at the stills, and like it's his like overseeing of that, and it's his maturation from day one.
Well, there
right?
was that famous 4-year-old that came out recently. So maybe that's what's so famous about that is that it's got a splash of his
There you
own
go.
distillate.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was like a $400 whiskey.
That's great. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I bet you it's because he did exactly that. He took his 4-year-old distillate,
Yeah.
threw in one barrel, like maybe makes up like 3%.
Right.
And then the rest is like 35, 40-year-old whiskey.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah, but I want a Glenallachie 12 that's Billy Walker distillate, Billy Walker matured, and Billy Walker blended and bottled.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
start to finish,
Yeah.
and that will happen by year 20.
Well, he released this, which was probably his first whiskey in 2018.
Okay,
So we're at 4 now. No, 5 now. Right? So,
what, 2029, 2028,
yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We're not good at math, but it's around that. It's around there.
So 2028 would give him a 10-year-old whiskey of his own.
Okay.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So, we're
Interesting.
not that far away.
I'm excited.
5 more years.
Go.
I wanna collab on the 6-year-old whiskey that he like. We should pick a Whisky Rant 6-year-old from Glenallachie.
We should do a barrel pick from Glenallachie.
That'd be cool.
You know?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Barrel pick.
But like Billy Walker
Walker's
distillate. Yeah.
6-year-old.
Yes.
And you know, I mean 6 in particular because
If it's going to be a single barrel, what would you do? Would you do Virgin Oak? Would you do PX? Would you do Oloroso? What would you do? Ex
it'd be so
bourbon?
tough. I don't know. I think PX. I like PX a lot.
Yeah.
I like PX a lot.
Yeah.
Virgin would be pretty cool, but I think Billy Walker does so well with PX.
It can't be just Virgin with Glenallachie, can it? Just Virgin Oak?
They do it. They do like single casks that are Virgin Oak, but I don't know. I don't know.
Do
What,
they though? Because I
Yeah,
know they
you're
have.
right. Like they probably
They have a Virgin Oak finish. I
They're
think
probably
that
all
just came
finished.
out.
They're probably
they have
all
a Virgin
finished.
Oak finish that just came out, I think.
They have a whole bunch of Virgin Oak finishes.
They have a whole bunch of like wood finishes,
Yeah.
whatever.
They have
whatever.
like Hungarian oak,
Yeah.
French oak.
They got
like,
too much. You
yeah.
can't keep up with all this.
No, there's
these
all those
things.
specialty ones I don't even bother with.
Yeah.
They're just I've one thing for sure, I used to like dabble and experiment with all sorts of different wine casks. I will not do that anymore.
Yeah.
I've like grown so far away from that. In the last few years, I will not touch Madeira. I will not touch.
It's got to be a try before you buy.
Yeah, exactly.
It has
like,
to be.
Yeah, if someone like raves about it, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And if it like is just for whatever reason really, really good, I'll buy it. But
Yeah.
stick with my Oloroso. I'll
Yeah,
stick with my
you're right.
sherry, my PX. Sorry, I'll stick with my like occasional port.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, like virgin oak bourbon cask. That's it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if it's a Glenallachie, if you're picking a single cask and you didn't know what it was, you'd be like, okay, I'll take the PX
Yeah.
and then maybe the Oloroso second.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like
Yeah,
those are the two I want to pick from.
exactly.
I don't want to pick like a virgin oak
No, or like a Madeira or
or a Rioja or whatever.
Rioja. Yeah, he does those too, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure like there's a big fan base for that, but I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Not
you're
a
right.
fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many whiskeys that are great in a virgin oak by themselves, except for Cavalan.
Cavalan. Yeah.
Cavalan is the exception to the rule, but
Yep.
they mature at a crazy climate, so it's different.
It's almost bourbon-esque.
And it's like, and they do it till like it's just dust in the barrel. There's
Yeah.
almost no liquid left.
I'm very curious how that Jack Daniel's single malt is.
Ooh, yeah,
Have you heard about it?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very curious.
yeah.
I want to try it.
That's a topic for another episode.
Yeah.
But takeaways, Glenallachie 12-year-old 2018 bottling, very, very nice, but very, very different than
Very
the stuff
different.
you're getting today.
Yep.
Good in its own right, but we would still probably take the newer bottling.
The newer bottling.
Yeah.
It's more in our alley.
Mhm.
Like we like our sherry. We would never deny that.
Yeah, and I think that's what we like about Glenallachie is, you know what, you racked, and normally that'd be a red flag for anyone else, but when Billy Walker does it, he just seems to do it right, and
Yeah.
it worked out for this one for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Number 2, spill bourbon on the floor. This is very important. Many people would kill for a drop of what you're drinking, so show them you're too cool to give a shit. The higher you can pour from, and the more you spill on the floor, shows everyone exactly your level of seriousness with whiskey, which should never be too high. And it also shows everyone how awesome you truly are.